the first Nigerian artist to ever sell out Madison Square Garden.
How come when it's me, they always point out the fact that I'm the first to do it? Like,
I really think that Nigerians are not successful. Yeah. Okay, don't take me too seriously with that, but I don't think that we Nigerians see ourselves, not just Nigeria, but I don't really think that Africans see themselves as really successful, except they are kind of given a sort of approval by the West. But before I say anything, let's watch this video of Burna Boy being interviewed by Trevor Noah. And I really loved, when I said I really loved his response. Let's watch.
Can I just say congratulations as well on everything? I mean, selling out the O2 Arena in London, selling out, the Forum in Hollywood. Now, the first Nigerian artist to ever sell out Madison Square Garden. And to play it as well.
Well, you know one thing I always wondered, like, how come when it's me, they always point out the fact that I'm the first to do it, like the first that landed on the moon.
Okay.
It's like why when rock bands perform in Tokyo and stuff, they don't say the first American rock band to perform in Tokyo.
Okay, before Trevor Noah interjects, because obviously, and with all due respect, I so much love Trevor Noah, but before he interjected on his answer, I mean, it's quite obvious. Yeah, they always bring out the idea of the first African to do this, the first Nigerian to do this, because it's kind of them giving us approval. It's not as if Burna Boy has not been doing something that's very great in his life. But, I mean, just like he asked the same question, when it comes to Americans, why are they not pointing it out? But I think I loved what Trevor Noah said, but let's listen.
I think because they're surprised. There is an element of surprise.
Okay, just because they are surprised. That's the point. So they are kind of surprised, okay, these people should not be doing this kind of thing. So Nigerians should not be selling out that kind of arena. Nigerians and Africans should have a kind of frame. Yeah, they should have a kind of limit to the level of success that they should get to. Yeah, because that's the explanation that I'm seeing from this. Seeing that they are shocked, I'm surprised that they are doing it. But anyway, let's continue watching.
Why?
Because we've come a long way. Do you know how far Madison Square Garden is from Africa?
Yeah, but like, do you know how far away Tokyo is for Kiss and...
But you see, that's the thing, if you think about it. Culture has for such a long time been defined by America.
That's the problem. Culture has for a very long time been defined by America. And that's why I tagged this video to kind of why Nigerian Africans are not successful. Because the culture that has been defined to us by the Americans. Remember, these guys actually wrote our history for us. They actually drew our maps for us. They gave us every definition of our person and our values and our successes and everything we hold so dear to. They gave it to us. So they also think that, okay, we should not be kind of as successful as other people are being. That there is a level that we should get to, whether it's in music, in content creation, in movies, in life, in business. They have given us, that's really crazy. But the worst part is that Nigerians are actually believing this same old story. When would we come to the point that we say, okay, enough of this? It's time for us to write our history. It's time for us to create a new and a better history. It's time for us to define the new culture, because truth be told, Nigerians are successful. I mean, Burna Boy isn't the only person that has been told this kind of thing, and Trevor Noah wouldn't be the only person to say it. Nigerians, we see ourselves as less successful unless we get some kind of approval from the Americans, unless we get some kind of approval from the whites. That was why when Rema performed during the NBA, everybody was on fire. Rema this, Rema that. When Tiwa Savage was invited to perform by the by the Royal House of Britain. Nigerians were like, yeah, Tiwa Savage has done it again. But does it mean that these guys were less successful until they were invited for the performance? That's really the question that I used to ask myself, because I just don't understand. Rema has been very successful even before that performance. Tiwa Savage has been so successful even before that performance. It's such a crazy culture that has been defined to us. And like you might have seen in the thumbnail of this video and in the title of this video, these are the two ways that I think we will rewrite this culture. Let's listen to Burna Boy once again. This Burna Boy, for me, I think is such a sage and a wise person, but let's just listen to him say this, then I'll just drop my 2 pence.
They don't teach us that in schools. They don't tell us about ourselves.
Yeah, they don't teach us in schools.
They tell us about you guys, and they tell us about the Queen of England, and they tell us a bunch of stuff that has no significance to us, that shows us that puts in our head that, look, we have no power and all we are is inferior to these people. I also want the truth of our history before slavery.
Okay, before Burna Boy continues, I would like to point out this thing. He said something that the only thing that we are taught in school when it comes to history and all of this is majorly about what the whites have done, the great things the white have done, how they are kind of our savior. And calling back to what Trevor Noah said about the Americans and about the whites defining the culture for such a long time, and in some cases still defining the culture. It appears as if we Africans, it appears as if we Nigerians, we don't really believe that we can amount to any good. I've heard this a lot from a lot of people, and it actually angers me so much when I hear Nigerians say things like that. I've heard somebody tell me point blank that Nigerians can never and cannot teach the white anything good. Somebody have also said something that it's only the white who were created by God. The Nigerians and Africans and blacks in general, they are a kind of addition to God's creation. So with that kind of mentality, even when we are successful, we are not seeing ourselves as being successful. That's why if you go to thousands of churches across Nigeria and across Africa, you could see people who are fighting so hard, praying so hard, and sowing so much seed. Why? Just because they want to travel outside of the country and get a better life. Just because they want to travel outside of the country and get saved from their own country. Is that not insane? Is the church not also contributing to this? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people who have the means to travel outside of the country should not travel. But with what mindset are we actually traveling outside of the country? Is it because we want to go and contribute and show these people, yeah, we still have something, we can offer something, we can save you guys, we can save your life? Because believe me, with a lot of things that I see happening in the West, they really need a savior. Yeah, they really need a savior. But we cannot actually show them that we can save them if the only reason why we go there, if the only motive that drives us there is for us to actually get saved by them. It's not as if they themselves are not still coming to Nigeria. They come to Nigeria, but guess what? Why these people come to Nigeria, they are coming to Nigeria with the idea of building something. They are coming to Nigeria with the idea of creating businesses and solving problems for the economy and from the population of the country, and to a reasonable extent creating problems. But the question is, when Nigerians travel to the West, they also go there to be employed instead of going there to create opportunities. And I quite understand that there are still a lot of bureaucracies, there are still a lot of policies that would hinder Nigerians from creating something great in the West. But it all starts from having that mindset that you are not traveling outside of your own country to be saved. But let's just continue from Burna Boy.
And before the white man came and before all that, to be the real history that's told, this is not how it always was. Some people came here and lied to you and took the crown off your head and told you that you were a slave, when really they came here and met you as a king.
Wow. Like I said before, Burna Boy is kind of a very wise person, if you ask me. And going back to history, once again, nobody's going to force us to embrace our history. Nobody's going to force us to learn and know our history. Because if the truth of the matter is that if we do not know, if we do not read and understand our history, we will continuously act as slaves. And no matter how much successful we become, we will continuously see ourselves as less of human beings. Except, of course, when we get approval from the whites. And I'm not saying this to mean that the whites should be nailed. Of course not. I mean, they are kind of living their own lives, and we are offering everything we have to them. Forget about what happened during the slavery. Forget about what happened during colonization. We're talking about now. So the two things that I really think and I really believe would help us in regaining our success as a nation is, first of all, going back to our history. And like I said before, nobody's going to teach you, nobody's going to teach us. We have to go back to reading. It's actually crazy because in this social media generation, it's actually crazy for people to be reading. But how else are we going to learn our history and become a better of a nation without going back to our roots? And secondly, because of this current trend in this generation, it's actually time for celebrities like Burna Boy, whether in music, in movies, in everywhere, meaning Nigeria and African, to invest in movie productions. I mean, it's very rare to find a movie, a very great movie, that's teaching about the Nigerian history. What I say when I'm talking about a great movie, I don't mean all these movies that we see around. I mean, I'm talking about movies like The Woman King. I'm talking about movies like Half of a Yellow Sun, which I really think and believe should be remade with much depth. So it's high time that Nigeria as a country came together and invest hugely in this kind of project to teach people our history. Because the truth of the matter is that without our history, our culture will continuously be defined by the West. And if they continuously define our culture for us, they would also give us the extent of the kind of success that they expect us, that they actually expect us to get to. I mean, just like Burna Boy asked before, why is it always a kind of surprise when an African or when a Nigerian does something that's great? Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you watched up to this point, you certainly know the drill by now. Please subscribe to this channel. Yeah, subscribe to this channel. If you're watching on Facebook, follow this page, like and share this video till I come your way again. A P for peace.